For as long as I could remember, I had been trying to run away from something that was already inside me. A feeling that's not easy to name or place, but it was just a nagging dread, uneasiness, discomfort, feeling of being alone, but not just being alone as in being by myself, but feeling that there was something wrong, something fundamentally wrong with life, and perhaps more painfully with me. Something just felt wrong. Something felt uncomfortable. Something never really let me rest or be at peace. There were moments when I was playing sports or doing things I enjoyed doing, but that uneasiness, that nagging feeling that just hung on and hung around and pulled at me, it would always come back. Most of the time, I don't even think I recognized that it was there, and I didn't really reflect about it very much. It just seemed like this was life. It was so normal. It had always been there. It seemed like this was just part of life. This must be what everyone faces and feels, and everyone carries around inside them. It was unconscious. I didn't think about it. And I ran by trying to be, everybody runs in their different ways. I ran by trying to be successful. If I was bad, by God, I'd be good. I'd be good enough that I could wipe out, that I could expunge those bad feelings inside me. If I was afraid of what people thought of me, I'd be so damn good that nobody could possibly think anything bad about me. I ran. I was always running, trying to be one step ahead, which was all I could ever achieve, if that much, because it was all inside me. Trying to be one step ahead of this gnawing kind of pack of wolves that was always at my heels. And when I went to prison, it finally all caught up with me. There was no place to run, obviously. And I had so exhausted myself in the craziness of what I did and trying to keep up with it and trying to pay everyone back and trying to make things right that were not going to be made right. I had so exhausted myself that I had no energy to run anymore. So all that uneasiness, all that subtle insecurity, all that feeling of not being good. If you want to feel your feelings of not being good, prison is a really good place to go, because that's how you're treated, that you're not good. So they caught up with me. And imagine my surprise to realize that all these nagging feelings that had chased me all my life, for them to catch up to me was, above all, a great relief. I didn't have to run anymore. And imagine my surprise when what I found within myself in relation to these parts of myself felt like love. Not a corny, saccharine, layering over kind of love, just a tenderness for my humanity, for my foibles, for my weaknesses, for my vulnerability. Once it finally all caught up with me, it wasn't devouring me like a pack of wolves. It was more like a scared little animal that kind of wanted to crawl in my lap and be held. Crazy to realize I'd been running away from what was already inside me, running away from the parts of myself that wanted and desperately needed love and attention. All the things that had happened to me that had had to be pushed down, where there was no place to process, to talk about with my family or with anyone, or even to recognize within myself. Suddenly there was a space, and that space was a cell, a prison. I began to call this loving what has never been loved. Loving that insecurity, that feeling, just a deep underlying, it was never on the surface. This was not something that I showed to people in my daily life, but deep down, kind of in the bowels of life, there was this feeling that I was just bad. And I got to go down into that, to feel that, to bring tenderness to that. What is bad? Am I actually bad? Have I ever actually been bad? And I found this love and tenderness for everything, for the whole experience of my life. The good, the so-called good qualities, the sense of humor, the determination I had, and for just these ugly, squashed, afraid, ultimately devious parts of myself. I learned to love all of them. I learned that love starts with acceptance. I wasn't trying to have them come forward so I could shoot them or cut them out like a cancer or an infection. I learned to love everything, to see why it was there, what I was afraid of, what I had been running away from, what these feelings of insecurity and inadequacy and aloneness, what they were down to their very roots. All these things we push away and hate and try to pretend that we're not, and we layer over and we bury them and we avoid them with busyness or efforts to be successful. We avoid them with alcohol or drugs. There was no reason to avoid them. They were all part of me. I once described to one of my friends in prison that all these feelings that we were carrying, it was like if we had a bad infection on our leg that was blowing up and you could see the color going up the leg because the infection was spreading to the rest of our body, we would pay attention to this. But we don't do that with these energies, these feelings, these wounds that are trapped inside us. I was thinking about, while I was in prison, I was thinking about all the guys who were there for drugs, so many of them for opioids. And I was thinking, what are opioids? Opioids are painkillers, killing that pain, trying to kill that pain that we all carry inside us. And nowadays, they're not even opioids from poppies, from flowers, from natural sources. They're opioids that are created in a lab. They're harsh chemicals that not only kill the pain, they kill the body. That's how desperate we are to escape what's already inside us. In trying to kill the pain, we take a drug that is so toxic that it rots away the flesh and the body. Kill the pain. Trying to kill the pain results in killing the whole totality of what we are. So I learned to love all of that, to be with it. I again, not in a sappy way, not, oh, I love you, but just letting everything be as it is, allowing it to feel whatever it feels, to feel alone, to feel jealous, to feel inadequate, to feel needy, to feel afraid, both terrified and just that gnawing little fear that won't quite let you go. I felt it all. And I felt it with love. Loving what has never been loved. And of course, that spread naturally to my fellow inmates. The more love I found for what I was, for my own craziness, for my own deceptiveness, for my own criminality, for my own weakness, for my own arrogance, the more I could love that in everyone else. I began to see that prison was just a larger manifestation of what we all do to ourselves. Here were the least functional people in our culture, the most wounded, the most distorted by what life had done to them, to us. People that no one had any idea, no one in our culture has any idea how to really help or love or rehabilitate. So what do? We do the same thing we do within ourselves. We banish them to somewhere else where we don't have to look, where we don't have to see them, where we don't have to be with them every day, where we don't have to feel the pain of what has never been loved. This is where I found my true love. Not in the perfect relationship, the perfect situation, but in the perfect situation to love what has never been loved. Perhaps the most tragic thing I feel in life is how desperately we try to avoid what's already inside of us. How determined we are to reject the parts of us that we do not see as lovely or lovable. And I was given this by some grace which I may never understand. I was given this opportunity to learn to love what has never been loved, to face what has never been faced, to honor what has never been honored, to respect what has never been respected in myself and in others. And perhaps more than anything I've wanted in expressing through this channel is to communicate that opportunity is there every day, every moment of every day in each one of us. What is within us waiting to be loved is completely available for us to embrace, to hold, to love what has never been loved before. My love to you as you consider this for yourself. My love for you in the places that have never been loved. Thank you for watching. Thank you to all of you who are responding to these videos. It touches me so much to take what has been such an inner process and share it with all of you. Please do feel free to comment if you like. Please do like and subscribe. This channel is growing slowly and steadily, and I'm grateful, so grateful, to share this with you, this process of learning to love what has never been loved. Thank you so much for watching.